The senator from Wyoming.
Thank you, Madam President. May I ask unanimous consent that the quorum call be vitiated?
Without objection.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I come to the floor today to talk about our nation's defense. Last week, America marked Veterans Day. I was in Wyoming and started Veterans Day the way I do every year, which is in Douglas, Wyoming, Converse County at the American Legion. We raised the flag at 7 a.m. We kicked off a day of Veterans Day ceremonies all around Wyoming. Last week, as I visited with veterans all around the state, I will share with you the things that I hear all across Wyoming. What I continue to hear is that since Joe Biden took office, our nation has become weaker, and the world has become more dangerous, and our nation is now less safe. In August, Joe Biden oversaw the tragic and failed withdrawal from Afghanistan. Because of the president's weakness, incompetence, and mismanagement, the Taliban took over Afghanistan in just a matter of weeks. Just before the withdrawal, terrorists killed 13 of our troops. It was the deadliest day for our military in a decade. One of those fallen heroes was Riley McCullum of Wyoming. All of Wyoming felt the terrible loss of this 20-year-old Marine. He was a statewide high school wrestling champ. On August 30th, the Biden administration left hundreds of Americans behind enemy lives, in spite of the fact that the president said he wouldn't leave anyone behind. The administration has admitted to the Armed Services Committee that more than 400 Americans are still behind enemy lines. Joe Biden's Afghanistan surrender is a national disgrace. The consequences are being felt all around the world. Our friends are furious. Our enemies are emboldened. Last month, we saw a hypersonic missile being tested. We see an emboldened Vladimir Putin now has stationed 100,000 troops near the border with Ukraine. Vladimir Putin continues to speak of Ukraine as if it is part of Russia. North Korea showed last month that they can launch ballistic missiles from submarines. Iran will soon have much, much more cash than they did when President Biden took office. You say, how could that be? Well, one reason is the influx of cash in the rising price of oil and a weak enforcement of the sanctions that we have against Iran. Easier for them to sell and more profitable to do so. The Biden administration is trying to negotiate with Iran from a position of weakness. Yet the most alarming developments are the strides being made right now in China. Since Afghanistan fell, China has aggressively flown dozens of military planes over Taiwan's air defense zones. The Pentagon admitted recently that China now has the largest navy in the world. China plans to build more than 100 new ships over the next 8 years. China is also building about 300 missile silos and plans to have 1,000 nuclear missiles in the next 8 years. China recently tested a hypersonic weapon capable of use around the world. These are pressing challenges, Madam President, challenges like we haven't seen since the Cold War. This administration has been caught flat-footed. At the White House, utter incompetence. At the Pentagon, complete mismanagement. At the State Department, global weakness. No one's been fired. No one's been held accountable over the withdrawal from Afghanistan. No one has resigned. There has been no accountability. It's astonishing, but the president must still believe in his statement where he said it was an extraordinary success. He may be the only one in America who believes that. Our enemies are getting stronger, and the Democrats are asleep at the switch. The Pentagon press secretary was asked last week, which is the bigger threat? Which is the bigger threat, China or climate change? His response, they are equally important. This is the Pentagon press secretary. This isn't somebody at the EPA. This is somebody responsible for the defense of this nation. This is not just false, it is absurd for this to be the policy of this administration. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is focused on fighting so-called dissident ideologies in our military. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff testifies in Congress that he supports service members studying critical race theory. Our enemies are not following that path. Oh no, they are focused on winning wars. The Biden administration seems to be focused on liberal fantasies. Well, I believe it's about to get a lot worse. That's because President Biden's vaccine mandate will likely cause the discharge of thousands of service members. Certainly a concern of mine with our National Guard in Wyoming, as it is with troops around the country and around the world representing and defending our nation. Recruitment was difficult already. Our troops are feeling the pain of inflation cutting into their paychecks, and now the president seems to be determined to decimate their ranks. I fully support vaccination. I'm a doctor. I'm vaccinated. So is my family. I'm pro-vaccine. I am anti-mandate. At a time when our enemies are getting stronger, we don't need to drive the men and women who defend our nation out of the military. Now, the Senate has still not passed a Defense Authorization Act. The Senate went Independence Day, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, no action on the defense bill. The majority leader now says that the Senate will finally get around to it. Why did it take so long? The Senate has been debating a reckless tax and spending blowout the American people did not ask for, do not want, cannot afford, as prices continue to grow and go up and up and up, when the cost of Thanksgiving dinner is going to be the most expensive in the history of our nation. And we here in the Senate and the House, what are they doing? They're debating taxpayer dollars for illegal immigrants instead of taxpayer dollars for American heroes. We've been debating taxpayer dollars for what Democrats call tree equity. The New York Times even wrote about it today. We ought to be debating national security. We should be talking about the U.S. Army instead of Democrats who have been talking about an army of climate activists and an army of IRS agents. We just honored veterans last Thursday. We will give thanks again for all of them next Thursday on Thanksgiving Day. It is time today for the United States to do right and for the Senate to do right by all of them. I urge my colleagues to focus on a bipartisan National Defense Authorization Act, the defense bill for the defense of our nation. It's time we prove to the nation that we do support our troops and we do protect them against and protect all of us against rising threats and keep this great nation safe. Thank you, Madam President. I yield the floor. Suggest the absence of a question.